See the difference. That's the motto of China's global news network, CGTN. But seeing the difference comes with a catch.
CGTN is going to
watching CGTN, coming to you from Washington, D.C.
CGTN is an arm of China Central Television, which claims to be the world's largest television network. And it's at the forefront of a sophisticated global campaign. Beijing is training up foreign journalists, buying up space in overseas media, and expanding its own networks on an unprecedented scale in an effort to disrupt what it perceives to be Western hegemony over global media.
I'm Sean Mantesso, and this is China Watch. In this episode, we delve into Beijing's expanding global media presence and how China is weaponizing the free press to advance its aims and ideology across Australia and the world.
President Xi Jinping paid a rare visit to state media facilities in Beijing, including CCTV. She offered words of encouragement to aspiring Chinese journalists.
你们好。
总书记好。
Good morning, President Xi.
I see that your team is an international team. I hope you can report developments on the Chinese economy and society objectively and comprehensively. Tell true stories of China, publicize Chinese culture, and build a friendly bridge with locals.
True stories of China. Those are the words Chinese President Xi Jinping used in this 2016 visit to China Central Television in Beijing. His tour coincided with an ambitious rebranding of China's new global face, CCTV's international arm, CGTN. It's a multi-language international news channel. It claims to reach more than 140 million homes across 100 countries, including 30 million in the United States.
Chinese media offices are all over the world. They are the most extensive network of media organizations that in the world. So they employ thousands of non-Chinese English-speaking native journalists, editors, media managers, PR personnel, etc.
When you want it and where you want it.
With bureaus in Nairobi, Washington DC and London, CGTN is fast becoming the key pillar in a decade-long expansion of China's foreign media. And in a sign of CGTN's growing reach, its billboards even started springing up across Australia last September. As Western media outlets grapple with falling revenues and job losses, CGTN received more than 6,000 applications for the first 90 jobs at its London bureau last year. But experts warn you could be getting more than you bargained for when signing up to work for Chinese state-run media.
I would say many of them are willing collaborators. For practical reasons, because the pay is really good, or for many other reasons.
China's media say they provide an alternative voice from a Chinese perspective. But in the same year as President Xi's visit to CCTV headquarters, he made it clear what a voice from a Chinese perspective would be. He told journalists all the work by the party's media must reflect the party's will, safeguard the party's authority, and safeguard the party's unity. They must love the party, protect the party, and closely align themselves with the party leadership in thought, politics, and action. And a central tenet of Beijing's media strategy has been the repudiation of Western journalistic values. A leaked 2013 government directive shed light on how Beijing perceives Western media. Known as Document 9, it openly attacked Western journalistic values, saying the West's idea of journalism undermines our country's principle that the media should be infused with the spirit of the party.
A free press, in the Western sense of the word, is one of the ideological threats they see to their system. if you're able to crowd out other stories, now you're not competing as well. Now there's less potentially negative journalism about China.
And a quick look at some of CGTN's content reveals the active way in which the network is pushing back against what it perceives as Western media bias.
Last year, while reporting the Chinese Communist Party's annual dialogue with the world, the China editor of a mainstream Western media outlet went about the venue of the event, complaining that she couldn't get anyone to have a dialogue with. Since when have journalists had the power to talk to whomever they want, wherever and whenever they want?
Talking about brainwash, I think many of the practitioners are brainwashed by these Western values of journalism.
China rejects categorically the Western political model, and the country is rising fast.
The Western media, Western. That has been the policy of the Western media when it comes to reporting on China. Not lying, but never telling the whole truth.
But in a sign of just how audacious China's merging of state with media has become, Beijing has at times asked its journalists to go beyond their brief as reporters and act as intelligence gatherers.
So I don't think it's their primary function by any means, but it is something that comes up where your main client is not the audience that you're producing a show for. Your main client might well be the Chinese state.
This was the case for one Canadian Xinhua reporter. Mark Burry claims he was asked to report on a visit to Ottawa by the Dalai Lama in 2012, but not for broadcasts. Instead, the information was to be fed directly back to Beijing, in a sign China is willing to actively recruit its journalists, even foreign, to act on behalf of the state. Mr. Burry resigned immediately.
Brought to you by China Radio International. The Beijing Hour. Let's open a window to the world together.
But CGTN and Xinhua form only a part of China's audacious global media push. Also relaying Beijing's message to the world is China Radio International.
Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to China Radio International.
Like its television partner CGTN, CRI is being weaponised and deployed across the globe on a staggering scale. A 2015 Reuters investigation revealed there were at least 33 radio stations across 14 countries that are part of a global radio web, structured in a way that obscures its majority shareholder, state-run China Radio International. In Australia, Chinese language radio is being bought up by CRI or CRI affiliated companies across nearly every major city.
They have effectively monopolised the Chinese language airwaves. If you're looking for an alternative voice, you either have to go on the internet or maybe a couple of hours a day of SBS broadcasting. But really there aren't too many alternatives available if you're just turning on the radio.
And beyond the airwaves, China has embarked on a mass campaign to buy up space in print media the world over. Newspapers adorned with full-page spreads and glowing assessments of China's president can be found from Sri Lanka to Poland to the US and, yes, even here in Australia. In 2014, President Xi said that he would create a new type of mainstream media, one that is powerful, influential, and credible. But could China's foreign media push, while astonishing in scale, be more a lame duck in execution? Unlike other successful state-sponsored non-Western media giants like Russia Today and Al Jazeera, China's foray into global media has been unable to draw much journalistic clout, and questions remain over how many people are actually tuning in. CGTN's 73 million Facebook followers may appear robust. It's actually more than Al Jazeera and the BBC combined. But 2/3 of the network's traffic is thought to come from China. CGTN America's YouTube videos often attract less than 100 viewers, a paltry sum compared to overseas rivals.
So it's kind of caught between these two goals. It wants to be the BBC, but at the same time it wants to please the party bosses. And what pleases the party bosses isn't necessarily the kind of thing that is going to get you and me tuning in to be entertained. Like literally the very first few minutes of CGTN's life were a series of dot points of Xi Jinping, with these kind of sphinx-like quotes about China must understand the world and the world must understand China. These meaningless phrases from the leader, and not the kind of thing that would really make you want to tune into a TV station.
President Xi Jinping earlier sent his congratulations. President Xi said the relationship between China and the world is changing. China needs to better understand.
Xinhua and CGTN, unlike Russia Today or Al Jazeera, have not yet created a palatable international brand. The scale and at times covert nature of China's push has no doubt rattled security pundits across the Western world. It has developed a more robust and sophisticated media strategy, but its broadcasters appear hamstrung by the requirements of towing the party line, which hinder its ability to produce widely appealing content.
It's not about how you want to influence people. It's about what kind of value system we have as Chinese that's convincing, that's shareable with the rest of the world.
That may be the real kicker. Beijing is yet to shake off global perceptions that it's an authoritarian state without a message of hope or change to sell the world.